Hey everybody, welcome to our brave new world. I kind of wanted to introduce really quickly what's going to come later in this video, which is a brief discussion, an initial discussion of John's Gospel and what he in his writings, which include his Gospel, three letters, and the book of Revelation, what he means when he talks about God, what his sort of agenda is, what his audience is, things like that. Um, but first, what I'm saying right now is kind of what the policies are going to be. Some of this is moving a little bit as I speak, so there may be some updates, and I'll try to make sure that those get communicated to you effectively. The plan for this, and we're not really sure how long we're going to be closed, but the plan is that as long as we are closed, all of your teachers, each of your teachers rather, will post two lessons that are sort of roughly the equivalent of a stretch day per week. One will be posted by Monday morning. The other will be posted by, I think, Tuesday morning. That'll be communicated with greater clarity by in an email from Father Beretta that is forthcoming. And they'll be due, respectively, I think, Wednesday night and Friday night. I will be on Zoom trying to sort of maintain a sense of community, I would say, for 4 hours a day, once from 9 to 11, and the other time from 1 to 3. What I'm going to do is the 2 to 3 section of my office hours will be reserved for specific class sections. So Tuesday's 2 to 3 chunk will be for my A2 and A3 classes. Wednesday's 2 to 3 chunk will be for my A1 and B2 classes. Thursdays will be for my A6 class, and Fridays for my A4 class. All the rest of the time, the 9 to 11 and the 1 to 2 bit, will be wide open for whoever wants to log in. I've used Zoom before. It's really actually pretty great for discussions. I think you'll enjoy that, and I think also it'll give us all a sense of community in this time of isolation, which I'm sure is driving us all crazy already. Although it looks like there's plenty of people out in the park behind where I live, so God knows. We'll see. Hopefully this all gets better very soon. Stay safe, stay healthy. I miss you guys. Good luck with what's following here, because I know, of course, that it will be a whole new experience for you, too. So keep an open line of communication with me if you do have any trouble, and even if you don't, I'd be happy to hear from all of you. I've really enjoyed working with you this year, and I can say that it's a big disappointment that I won't see you for a while. So good luck. See you soon. Peace. So John, then. John's Gospel is a philosophical gospel. It is highly mystical, which we'll talk a little bit about what that means in a moment. But you've all been asking me since we started our Synoptic Gospel unit, what is John's audience? So if Mark wrote for the suffering, Matthew for the Jews, Luke for the rich, who did John write for? The short answer to that is highly educated philosophical religious scholars who debated tons and tons of things. You can see here just some of the questions that they would have had. What is the nature of the universe? What does it mean to say that something is real? What is the meaning of life? Does life have a meaning, right? They didn't quite ask the question of whether all this was just a big simulation, but that's not far off from where they were. And so, of course, for theologians, the question quickly becomes, what or who is God? What does it mean to be religious? What does it mean to be a monotheist in a polytheistic world, right? And those questions are going to matter tremendously, because now that we've lost so John's Gospel is written in around 95, maybe 100. Once the temple's gone, we've lost any kind of centralizing feature for Judaism and ultimately for Christianity as well. So what do? Well, we define things with crystal clarity to make sure that as the message spreads outward, it remains the same. So what I want you to do is actually pause the video right here. There is a discussion board that I put in on campus, so you will be able to see each other's answers. And I want you to go in and just say, what images of God have you seen in culture? Like, that is multimedia. If it's something from television, here's an example real quick from South Park. You've probably seen this picture. The little rat dude on the left is God. From television, from video games, from books, from artwork, whatever you can think of, or from your own tradition, your own upbringing, what do you think of when you think of the word God? And then we're going to jump back in and take a look at what John means by the term and do a little bit of comparison and contrast. Ultimately, as I said, you'll be able to see each other's answers on the discussion board, so please make sure this remains like school appropriate. What I want you to do later on, if you have a chance, before you do tomorrow's lesson, so to speak, is actually also be sure to go back in and respond to some of the comments that are going to be put on the discussion board. Hopefully that makes sense. If it ends up not working, just let me know. I will work on this, but we'll make it work. And here we can take a look at what John's answer to the question I just asked you to discuss actually is. Whoever is without love does not know God, for God is love. That is from the first letter of John. If there is a number before the word John, we are referring to a letter of John. If there's no number, we are referring to the gospel. A lot of people have seen that underlined bit before. That underlined bit usually gets dismissed in people's minds as God loves. God does love, that's true. But more importantly, God and love are the very same thing. So when we talk about God, we're talking about the reality of love, which John believes is sort of an important part of the very universe itself. We'll take a look at over the coming days. But rather than any single instance, that's important. So it's not that God is the love that exists between you and your family, or you and your friends, or whatever else, or the love that exists between like a mother and her kid or something like that, but rather God is the reality of love which appears in each of those little instances. And so it is true that God is literally present whenever people act lovingly, which is beautiful, but it's always true that the reality of God is greater than any single act. Now, real quick, what does love mean? Of course, if we define God by saying that God is love, we just end up with another term that's that's equally difficult to define. Except that we all know quite well what love actually is. If you think of that commercial that came on during the Super Bowl, I kind of excerpted this little picture from that commercial. The New Testament uses 6 words for love, not just 4 like in the commercial. All of them are beautiful gifts. The type of love that God is called agape, which is spelled like that bold word there. Agape is the perfect, selfless, eternal kind of love that is not sort of selfish. It's not, based on any particular need or anything like that. It is just the reality of the love that sort of exists between all people. It's a far broader, more encompassing term than what we mean when we say love in our culture. So you got to remember that. It would be kind of weird for like two, neighbors to say that they love each other in our culture. In Greek, these words kind of refer to the selfless sort of other regarding love that exists among any people who have goodwill towards each other. And that is God. Now what I want you to do is take a look at the second of the 2 discussion boards that I've posted, and then the final parts of the assignment that are listed in the on-campus post that I put up. We'll be having 2 assignments of roughly this length per week. Let me know if that becomes too burdensome. I do certainly understand that some of you are going to be in spots where it's a little bit difficult to get all of this accomplished. I'm going to try to be as sort of accommodating and as reasonable as I can be. Good luck with all this, and as I said to you before, keep an open line of communication so that we can make sure that this is going as well as it can. Thanks, good luck, peace.